In a week's time, Real Madrid return for pre-season training. And in 3 weeks' time, they kick off their La Liga campaign for the 2025-2026 season. So today what I want to do is go through how I think Real Madrid will line up in the new season with XABI Alonso. Now, we not only have his time at Bayer Leverkusen to look back at and see how his team operated to get an idea of how he might line up at Real Madrid, we also have the Club World Cup experience to fall back on, where he adopted two formations, the 5-3-2 and the 4-3-3. And I do think the 5-3-2 will be Madrid's main formation, at least at the start of the season. So what I want to do is go over the 5-3-2 formation and how they'll line up, how it will vary in the 4-3-3, but also how I think the team and the lineup will adapt when certain big names return from injury, like a Jude Bellingham who's not back until November, 2 months into the season, but also DANI CARVAJAL and EDER MILITAO, who will also, I'm presuming, around October, maybe even November or December, start really gaining form and going back to the players we need them to be and they can be. Starting with the 5-back formation, this is how I think Real Madrid will line up. With Thibaut Courtois, I mean, there's no question he will be in goal, but we have Trent at right back, Rudy as a right centre-back, Tchouaméni in the centre-back, left centre-back will be Howson, left back will be Carreras, with Arda, Fede and Camavinga occupying the midfield roles, and then Vini and Mbappe up front. Starting with Vini and Mbappe, I don't think there's any question those two will be the front two at the start of the season, as well as Gonzalo Garcia did. I just think they're too bigger personalities, too bigger profiles, they offer way too much, and they're too bigger names to drop. As much as I would personally prefer a Rodrigo next to one of them, instead of these two next to each other, because defensively and off the ball he offers so much more, and offensively and on the ball the drop off between Rodrigo and one of these two isn't that big. So just because of how small the drop off is offensively, but how big the difference is defensively, I would definitely take Rodrigo over one of these two. In midfield, I think Camavinga will fill the hole left by Jude Bellingham in his absence while he is injured. The thing is, they could line up like this. Like, it's not a big difference, but Camavinga could be the central midfielder, and Camavinga could be the right central midfielder. Because at the Club World Cup, Real Madrid did something that confused me. Usually when you have a left-footed or right-footed player, they play on sides where they can cut inside. So, for example, Arda Güler being left-footed will play on the right so he can cut inside. Vinny being left-footed, he'll play on the left so he can cut inside. That's typical in world football for wingers and midfielders. But Real Madrid did the opposite. At the Club World Cup, Arda, the left-footed player, was on the left, and Jude Bellingham, the right-footed player, was on the right, which I don't understand. As the season progresses, we might get a clearer idea as to why XABI Alonso is doing this, but right now, I just don't know why he's doing it. I don't understand what the plan here is or what the idea is. So for that reason, I think Camavinga could be the middle central midfielder, but like I said, these two could be either or. But just with that idea in mind, let's keep them like this. The defense, again, just kind of going off the Club World Cup, it's the exact same with the inclusion of Alvaro Carreras. I mean, the guy, we bought him for 50 million. He's the only name Real Madrid have been going for or interested in. There's got to be a reason. I've never seen him play, but he has to be good. So I don't think the defense will look very different. Moving on to the 4-3-3 variation of the same formation at the start of the season, I don't think there'll be that much difference. I still think Arda Güler holds the central midfield role, because even though Arda can play here, and for his national team, Arda Güler does play up there on the right wing. For Real Madrid, just based on where he played at the Club World Cup and based on what both he and XABI Alonso were saying during the Club World Cup, I think Arda Güler's future at Real Madrid is set in the midfield. So I don't think his position will be changing when we change into a 4-3-3 formation. I think Tchouaméni will be pushed forward a bit more into the holding position. But again, Tchouaméni and Camavinga, that is not who I wanted to change. Tchouaméni and Camavinga can swap at any time or be, either could be in either position. Tchouaméni could be in the middle, Tchouaméni could be on the right, Camavinga could be in the middle, Camavinga could be on the right. It's similar to the Fede Valverde situation where with the 5-back, with this. Either one of them could be in either one of these two positions. Camavinga and Tchouaméni or Fede both offer that much and are that well-rounded that they can occupy either role. The big difference, the major difference in this formation is this man and his position. Fede Valverde will be told to push a lot more advanced and occupy the right wing position. I don't think Rodrigo wants to occupy the right wing anymore, and I don't think Alonso wants to force him to occupy the right wing anymore, and I don't think he likes occupying the right wing. So I think in a 4-3-3, this is what Real Madrid will look like, or they will look like this, with Camavinga not being in the team, and this man, Franco Mastantuono, the new signing, occupying that role. Because what this does is, instead of moving Fede Valverde forward, you keep Fede Valverde where he is, and instead you add a player who actually fits this position and has occupied this position and plays this position in the new signing Franco Mastantuono. Now, if the 18-year-old will be ready, 17 now, but 18 by the time he joins Real Madrid, whether he'll be ready to occupy this role or good enough right now is another question. But this is what Real Madrid will look like in a 4-3-3. And finally, once everybody is back from injury, when Jude Bellingham, the big names, Jude Bellingham is back from injury around October times, but also when EDER MILITAO and DANI CARVAJAL are back, they're already back from their injuries, but when they're closer to being 100%, because it'll take time. They've been out for a long time, so I think around, maybe even later than Jude, probably actually much later than Jude, around November or December time, we might see this formation when EDER MILITAO and DANI CARVAJAL are closer to the level they had before their injuries. I think Arda Güler will be, the attack won't change, but Arda Güler will be dropped for a midfield of Jude Bellingham, Tchouaméni and Fede Valverde. Tchouaméni again will be pushed further forward into midfield. And in the defence, we will have Rudy occupying the vacated role left by Tchouaméni and become our central centre-back. And EDER MILITAO will take the right centre-back role. These two, I was thinking these two could be swapped and play like this. But I thought, you don't want your two best passing centre-backs next to each other. Because when Dean Howson gets the ball, if this area of the field is blocked off and the opposition team is doing a good job in blocking passing lanes and is very congested, you don't want your best or one of your best passing centre-backs in the team to pass 5 or 10 metres to the next best passing, or I don't know who's better between these two in passing. Let's just say they're either or. But you don't want your two best passing centre-backs to have a 5 or 10 metre gap between them. Because if EDER MILITAO receives the ball in this position, he's faced with the same problems Dean Howson has. This part of the field is too congested, and by the time he looks up or tries to pass it here, the team is slowly shifting across. Instead, you want them separated, at least in a 5-back. In a 4-back, they're next to each other anyway. But in a 5-back, you want them separated. So that if Dean Howson can't find a pass here because the opposition team is doing well to block the passing lanes and it's very congested, he switches play to the opposite side of the field where EDER MILITAO is waiting. And now EDER MILITAO can use his passing ability to break lines and find the midfield or the attackers. And another reason you want them separated is because if they're here, the opposition team can easily get here or here. But if they're like this and EDER MILITAO is over here, by the time the ball gets over here, the opposition team will be sprinting across to try to block these passing lanes, which they'll still manage to do. They'll still get there, and this area of the field will still be congested. But what that will force them to do is, because the ball is travelling a further distance, they will have to travel a further distance. So that means this part of the pitch, where Vinny occupies, will be vacated. If the fullback and the midfielder rush to close this area down, Vinny might find himself open. So instead of EDER MILITAO passing up here and finding the line-breaking passes here, he pings it 40-50 yards right back over here to this half of the pitch. But that only works if the distance between these two is bigger. So that's one option and one key detail and positive that EDER MILITAO brings into the team once he is back. The other thing comes in the form of DANI CARVAJAL, the captain of Real Madrid. When DANI CARVAJAL is back, I don't know if he'll occupy the centre-back, the right-back position from Trent. It depends how good Trent is defensively and how good the team is defensively. If he's not good, then in the big games, in the games against hard-off wingers and hard opposition, DANI CARVAJAL will be the right-back just because defensively he's more solid. But if Trent is solid at right-back, then we could easily see something like this, where EDER MILITAO or Tony Rudiger, I'm taking Antonio out for now, but EDER MILITAO or Antonio Rudiger, why can I not get DANI CARVAJAL? Jesus. Here we go. Eder Militao or Antonio Rudiger swap and get dropped, because one is coming back from a big injury in Eder Militao, and the other one is both getting on in age and has also been playing with a big knee injury for a year. So those two will require rest and may not be able to play every 3 games. So this is another variation of the same formation once these two are 100%. Dani Carvajal could occupy the right centre-back role, which means more freedom for Trent, because Dani can easily just occupy and do the defensive shift on the right-back position. But also, the other centre-back gets rest. This does kind of ruin the argument in that you don't want these two next to each other, but this is just one aspect, right? Real Madrid have numerous options once everybody is fit, even though we rarely have everyone fit at the same time. But the Carvajal option is more so to do with who needs rest. I do personally believe this will be Real Madrid's main starting 11 post-December, I want to say. Just it depends when Eder Militao and Dani Carvajal, how long it takes them to become 100%. But this is what I believe Real Madrid's starting 11 and strongest 11 and lineup will be under XABI Alonso once everybody is fit and back. Anyway, I'm going to call the video there. Thanks for watching and peace.